So let's start with first service, AWS IAM. So I'll start with some example first thing. Again, I am on this screen only. I am not changing any screen, so don't worry. When I change the screen, you will come to know. But for now, I'm on this screen only. We'll start with a few examples. Suppose you started a startup company. A startup company you have launched, and there are only 3 or 4 people as part of the startup company currently. And you have hosted your application over Amazon. Now, since it's a very small group, 2 or 3 people or 3 or 4 people, everybody, they are like a CXOs. So they can go to Amazon, they can configure as per requirement, they can do all the design. So everybody would be sharing your Amazon accounts over there. And you would be okay in that case. Now, since you have the partners over there, now your team size grows a little bit more. So you are now around 15 people team. And you hired a few people, like there would be a 5 people team who would be just doing the finance part. There would be, or other 2 people team would be doing the finance part. There would be 3 people team who would be just managing the some other part over there, like they are just doing the monitoring part over there. There would be 5 people team who would be doing some other part. And in this case, you would not like to give them the full access to Amazon Web Services. The reason is they are not the owners of the company, they are just an employee. So you would worry in some moment that, okay, your account might be hacked or somebody does misbehave with the account and your data would be lost. So in that case, you would not like to go with this Amazon Web to give them the everyone access. What do you do in this scenario? In this scenario, you can create a few Amazon Web Service accounts. Those are called the, not the exact accounts, I'm saying the users. They are called the Amazon Identity and Access Management users. Now, Amazon Identity and Access Management or IAM users are nothing but like your Amazon users only, who would be able to perform same activities on Amazon service. Like you create a user, he can work on S3, he can work on EC2, he can work on EBS, he can work on RDS, he can work on anything. Then what is this user for? But you can control what that user can work for. So you create a user and you want to say, okay, this is a storage admin guy and she is responsible only for S3 part. You create a user who is having only access to S3. You create a user who is having the monitoring part, then you can say, okay, he can see the only EC2 and CloudWatch access only. You create a user who would be responsible only the finance part, and you can give him the only billing portal access only. So these are the various users you can create over here. And based on those users' requirement, you can give them the access rights. So those users would be able to perform the different activities as per the access rights. Now, so this solves the purpose. You already have a 5 or 10 users and you are able to manage them. Now your company grows again. Now it's a time like you have around 50 people team, 50 to 100 people team, and then you need those to create those 50 to 100 users. That would be fine, you can create that users, but the challenge would arise would be, how do you give them the access right for them? For example, you created a user, 10 users who would be able to do work on S3. You created a 15 users who can work on finance part. You created a 20 users who can work on the EC2 and CloudWatch. Now, suppose one user who was managing the EC2 and CloudWatch goes to the storage group. Now he has changed the department and he is part of the storage. Or one person who was part of the finance team, now he's part of the HR, so he needs to also manage the users also. How do you manage? In that case, you have to go and manage the access rights of those users also individually. Amazon provides the better option here would be the Amazon IAM group concept. Group is nothing but a collection of the users. So it's like, if you remember that we have the bucket. Bucket is a collection of objects. Same way, group is a collection of the users, and you can define a policy at the group level. So when you define a policy at the group level, it will be implied to all the users who are part of this group. Now what's the advantage here? If you have a multiple departments, HR, finance, development, testing, all those. You create 5-7 groups accordingly, and you keep on adding the users to these groups only. Now you need to define policy for the single group. So define the policy for the HR group, define a separate policy for the finance group, define the policy for the development group. and you apply that to the particular group. Now in the case if one user from the development team moves to the testing team or testing team moves to the development team, you just need to move him from one group to another group. Immediately his access rights would be applicable. So this gives you an advantage because you don't need to keep on changing the policy. Even when you see the another advantage would be, for example, your organization makes some changes saying that okay, now since we are expanding, so even the development team should not have access to certain type of instances. They can have only X type of instances, or a development team cannot have access to auto scaling or load balancer. So in that case you need to change the permission of, if there are 30 users, advantage would be you just need to implement that as part of the policy and it would be applied to all the users. So group and the concept of users works very well as long as you are able to manage on certain levels. Now suppose your team grows and you are now around 4,000, 5,000 people organization who are having a various tasks doing, various departments they are doing over there. Now out of 5,000 I would say around 3,000 are using Amazon for one or other purpose. Now in this scenario it will be becoming more and more difficult to manage those users. How would you provide them the different access rights, user guides and everything? So the best solution here would be, in that case even if you want to create a 3,000 users, that may be a huge challenging task to keep on doing that. And plus Amazon IAM supports maximum 5,000 IAM users. So beyond 5,000 IAM users even you cannot grow. So what the solution here would be? The solution is Amazon supports the single sign-on with your directory services. You have the LDAP, you have the Active Directory, whatever directory you have. Amazon provides the service where you can provide, it supports the SAML based, SAML version 2, SAML based authentication. So your organization users, once they log into their Amazon account, when they log into your organization machine only, for example, I am working with X organization and I log into, just log into that machine. And now whenever required, if I want to access something on Amazon, automatically the single sign-on is enabled. So whenever I say aws.amazon.com, it would not ask me for any credentials, immediately take me to the Amazon portal, Amazon over there, and it will show me only services which, or it will allow me to access services which I am allowed to as per my policy. So in this case, the biggest advantage you would get is you don't need to create a multiple users. Instead, you can just implement a single sign-on with your directory service. So the user, when logins to your corporate directory, he would also be assigned certain kind of a privileges which allows him to access the Amazon. So this all is possible only through Amazon Identity and Access Management. And now the biggest use case of the Amazon Identity and Access Management, before I move on. You have created a mobile application. Now this mobile application needs to make a call to, like just example, you have created an application like Instagram. Now what happens, this mobile application takes the data from the users, or they can upload their pictures or something. Whenever they upload the pictures, it would be uploading to your Amazon S3 bucket. Now as we all know, whenever you want to make a call, so this is mobile application and this whenever you want to upload something to S3 bucket, you need to provide your access credentials. When you want to provide your access credentials, it means the mobile application needs to store your access credentials, which is insecure, because if somebody, we know this is the APKs available with the Android and all get, and you can always decompile and there would be options available. They can see your access key and secret access key, which is very harmful scenario and can result in a bad problem also. So what's the solution here? Again, Amazon Identity and Access Management comes here to save you. It provides the web authorization, web-based, where it supports the authentication from, you can provide your user ID, you can log in with Google, Amazon or Facebook. 3 service providers, so web identity providers, Google, Amazon or Facebook. You can log in with that ID and Amazon would authorize that this user has logged in with the Google. It means he is an authorized user, and it would assign a temporary credentials to that user to upload data through the S3 bucket. Same way he is logged in with Amazon or his Facebook ID, he will be assigned a temporary credentials which will allow him to access the S3 bucket. Again, allow means it would be restricted rights where you just can send the data to a particular bucket, something over there, and your application would be controlling all this flow over there. So it's not at all a harmful scenario because it would be a secure scenario. So this is about the Amazon identity and access management. It gives a huge power now to control various levels, your applications, your Amazon access. But to understand the ground rule, it is applicable for Amazon resources only. So when you create an Amazon identity and access management, means you are giving some user rights of Amazon service, means he can work on EC2, EPS, S3, RDS kind of service only. It's not for anything else. Right, so with this brief, long, whatever we use case story, let's start our day for the Amazon identity and access management. So AWS IAM allows the users to securely control access to AWS service and resources. So we mentioned it is only for the Amazon services and resources, not for anything else. It will allow the users to create and manage users, and also enables the to grant access to AWS resources as per the requirement. They also enable the identity federation between your corporate directory and AWS services. So we talk about that, and which allows you to use your existing corporate identities. So in this case also you don't need to create a separate IAM users. Instead you can use your corporate identities and grant the access to the users. I'll show you a little bit about this, but how to do this, it would be a little deep topic. So what we'll do is I'll provide you all the guides about like all the material required for this, like the videos, links, material, how can you do that. So if you are really interested to set up with your identity provider, you can do that also. This is the first reference where if you want to do this, you can refer to this URL also. The biggest advantage of IAM is it's a free of the cost. So you create 1,000 users or 2,000 users, it would not charge you at all. Yes, those users, if launches some Amazon service like those users launches EC2, it would be chargeable, but creating a user or group is a free of the cost. So with IAM, you can manage your IAM users and their access. You can give them the fine grain. The biggest advantage of IAM is you can get very fine grained control over there. So if you remember for the S3, we were talking about the access control list. Now when we see the access control list, it was a very limited request where he can have the complete access of the bucket or he will have the only read-only access. While here you can go much finer level where you can say, okay, you can delete, you can create the bucket, you can create the folder, you can create the object, but you cannot delete it. So kind of a various kind of options you can do, because these options are based on the various APIs supported by S3. And we will see also during the demo how to create the policy, how to work with that. It also works with the mobile and browser-based applications. I showed you that use case, and also with the identity federations between your enterprise and Amazon Web Services. So supports the federated users. So when you go for the IAM, you would be giving him the access about the Amazon Service APIs. Now what do I mean by the Amazon Service APIs? So when you say EC2, everything when you do is a kind of there is an API available over there. So EC2 run instance, stop instance, start instance, terminate instance. There are various kind of reboot the instance. There are the various kind of each action you are performing would have some API available there. And you can define the access based on those APIs. So for example, you can define that, okay, this person can list all the instances. He can stop the instance, but he cannot start the instance. Or he can start and stop the instance, but he cannot terminate the instance. So you can give those kind of access, which would give you the better control of your resources. So to manage your IAM users, you can create different IAM users within the IAM account, and then you can put those users as part of the IAM groups. If required, you can give them the various permissions, and which will allow the users to perform, and then based on the various APIs service you are giving him the access over that. You can also, this user would have a similar kind of access like your root account. Now one thing you need to understand is the concept of a root account. Root account, I'll keep on talking over the session multiple times. See, the account which you used to register with the Amazon, like my ID is there or your ID is there, through which email address you register with the Amazon and you log in with that. I say awscloud@edureka.in. That would be that is called my root account, because this account can do any activity at the Amazon level. This account can do everything because it is the root account of the Amazon. Now this root account can create multiple IAM users, IAM user 1, 2, 3 over there, and then define the permission for them. Now whenever this user is going to perform certain activity, it will also can provide various ways to access the Amazon service. For example, the user 1 has to perform launch instance, create bucket kind of activity. So he may need to go to the console, or he may work from the command line tools. So from your Amazon account, when you go to security and account management, I just go there quickly before we forget that. So I thought I'll show you. Here I'll call the security credentials. It will say continue to security credentials, and you will see various IDs here. First one is the access key and secret access key. So access key is this ID. You can see the secret access key is available only once when you create it. If you forgot to store, you would be losing that. Second is your X509 certificates, which you can download from here. So these are also available over here. You can do that. So this is the kind of a credentials which will be helpful for you. Now, I hope now everybody remembers this. Coming back to when you create an IAM user also, he may be accessing Amazon resources either using console or CLI or SDK or any other way. So Amazon supports IAM also provides all the 4 kind of options. They can log in through console, they can use this X509 certificates, not the third. The third one is using those access key and secret access key. So all 3 are possible here. Now, as I said before, there would be a root account. Now this root account, we can create a multiple users. So we can create various groups, and for each group, we can have a multiple users. Now a single IAM user can be part of the multiple groups also if required. So he can be part of the multiple groups and he would be getting the access accordingly. I'll come to that in a while. So when we talk about the users, he can get the login password, he can get the access key, secret access key, he can get the X509 certificates, and the 4th option, which is called the multi-factor authentication, which I will come in a while. It supports all 4 options. Also, you can define the policies, and we'll see about the policies in detail in a while.